Hello and welcome to the Doctor Who Marathon. I'm your host McEdam, and today we'll be talking about the Unearthly Woman. This cover I've actually made myself. I actually designed the logo and I put the picture. I didn't actually design the pictures from the cover, but thing. Now I can't actually show you the DVD cover at the moment because it hasn't arrived yet, but I have listened to it on audio on the Big Finish audio drama website. You can actually download them and whilst they send you the CD, so that was very cool. Before I begin, I just want to give a shout out to a YouTuber called The Sentinel, because I wasn't going to review any River Song stories because I was worried that certain elements might mix up and stuff, so I was trying to avoid them. However, there was this guy called The Sentinel who he reviews the River Song audio dramas, and he seemed to be really passionate about it, so I decided to pick him up. So this is the first audio drama I've listened to from the Diary of River Song series, and this is from volume 6, I believe. So there you go. Nice shout out to The Sentinel, supporting our fellow YouTubers out there. So to begin, we are introduced to obviously River Song. Now River Song obviously hasn't appeared yet from our chronological point of view, but later on in the series she becomes this mysterious figure in the Doctor's life. Obviously if you're a Doctor Who fan and you've seen all the stories, then you know who she is now, but because I'm doing it now in chronological order, I'm going to try and keep as much of the mystery as possible, even though the story is about her. So she's undercover in Cohill School, where she meets Ian Chesterton, Barbara Wright and Susan Foreman. Now Ian and Barbara are teachers at the Cohill School, and they will later on become companions to the Doctor later on in the series. So River has a very flirty relationship with Ian, and Ian has a very it's really weird because Ian is normally he's normally the hard man of the crew but he's very nice. He's very soft inside, but he can be tough when he needs to. And here to see him kind of blush with River Song was quite funny. Barbara didn't get much to do in this audio drama, which I found disappointing. I found out recently, and a lot of people on the internet seem to find that she's the best of the three companions in the original companion crew, which I found really surprising. She does have a lot of great stories around her, which we will get to. Here, I thought she could have done a bit more. She does do something, but there you go. Oh, I forgot to mention, this is one-parter, and it's written by Matt Fitton. Now, Matt Fitton has done a lot of Big Finish audio dramas. I don't know if he's done anything outside of the audio dramas, but I've heard a lot of his writing style. I like most of his work, but I think he has done some duds. Also, I forgot to mention as well, this is the first time I've actually listened to this audio drama, so this is actually more of a first-time reaction than a review. So River is a teacher by day, and by night she's a police officer. So she has this kind of high energy feel to her. She speaks quick, and she wants to get things done as soon as possible. And I thought the scenes as the teacher, you can see she has a lot of energy, and all the kids are laughing and stuff. And then Susan kind of notices that she's a bit off. She talks about the 1970s, which obviously makes no sense because this story is set in the 1960s, so how should River know about that? Obviously it's because she's a time traveller, but blah blah blah. Susan here, she seems a bit timid. She's very quiet, she keeps to herself. She befriends this one of her pupils, Lloyd Webber, who is also an outcast, not an outcast, but keeps to himself. Now, why Susan is because she's a Gallifreyan. Lloyd is because of his skin pigmentation. He is black, and obviously being in the 1960s, there's a lot of things. I like how they basically do the unearthly child, but with this child instead. And I like how they show that you don't have to just be a bit timid to have, you know, social problems, social anxieties and stuff. But it does seem like it's more of a remake, and it doesn't do a lot of original stuff. So Lloyd and his sister Shelley are with Susan in the playground, and Susan, like I said, is very timid. Now, the implication here is because she's, you know, not human. But what I find really interesting is, if we're doing our chronological order thing, in Quinnes, with Meenla, she befriended Meenla, and then it turns out she's a villain, and, you know, Susan felt really bad for like a lot of stuff in that. So I like to think that the reason why she's quiet with Lloyd is because she's worried that it's going to be another Meenla situation. So that's really cool. That, you know, obviously it might not be. I highly doubt it, but it would be really cool if that was the case. So Rivers then meets the first Doctor. He only has 2 cameos, one right now and one right at the end. Now, Bradley Bailey plays the Doctor here. Oh, I forgot to mention, the cast here aren't the original cast. They are the Adventure in Space and Time cast. Now, for those who don't know, there was a docudrama called An Adventure in Space and Time, where they recasted most of the actors, and they made like based on true story film about the origins of Doctor Who, and they used that cast here, and they had their own spin-off series as well, which I will not get into. For those who are fans of those audio dramas, I do apologise, but, you know, I've got a lot to talk about, so it was, you know, I have to kind of like shorten it. So River's scene with the first Doctor is very, you can tell that she's kind of like flirting with him, but the Doctor is taking none of this shit. This is before he was romanticised by Paul McGann. So this Doctor, he's very shy, keeps to himself. I like how he's polite to her, but he is kind of like, mind your own business. Can you do your police work somewhere else, which I like. Now, whilst this is going on, Shelley gets kind of attacked by a sound in the mist, and we don't quite know what it is yet. So then it cuts to the next day. Now, Susan, I think, also heard it, and she talks to River about it. Now, she feels like she can trust River, because she kind of suspects that she's not from around here, which, of course, she's right. And Susan... no. So River then goes to investigate. However, she is stopped by Ian, who's going to try and help. But before that, they bump into the headmaster. The headmaster checked River's references, and they didn't match up. There was one who seemed to be a graduate rather than one of the teachers so she was fired from Cohill School. I thought it was a bit odd that Ian was kind of okay with this. He kind of like went along with River as if, like, despite hearing all of that she's been lying basically to the headmaster, that he was kind of like okay with her. It's very bizarre. So they go and investigate, and they find that Barbara went to Shelley's and Shelley and Lloyd's house because they were having trouble in school, and their foster father seems to be a very abusive man. And I like Barbara, how she keeps to stand up for herself. Obviously, the adopted father doesn't take no notice of her because, you know, he's a very grumpy man. But I like how Barbara kind of stuck her nose into it. It seemed like a very Barbara thing to do. But there you go. Now, we're going to get into what the monster is here. So I'm going to say spoilers if you're into the audio dramas, because something happens which will revert into another series in the audio dramas. The monster of this story is the Ravenous. Now, the Ravenous are monsters from the 8th Doctor Ravenous box set. I don't know anything about them. This is my first time hearing about them. And no, I'm not going to go into the Ravenous box sets. I do apologise. There are 4 box sets, and it ties into another set, 4 box sets. And I need to save my money here, people. So the Ravenous seem to be these creatures that eat people of time. Now, it wants Susan and it wants the Doctor, obviously. Now, I like the sound of the voice of this creature. It has a very like a kind of like monstery, evil-y sound. But I think it really works here, you know. The Ravenous seem very monstrous, and you can tell that just by the voice that they must be like some big creatures who have no regard for like pity and stuff like that. So River then chats with the Ravenous. Now, he mentions the Time Lords. I was kind of hoping that they kind of avoid using modern terminology. As I said before, in the Doctor Who Marathon series, they didn't really call the Time Lords yet. It was always the Doctor's people, or Susan's people, or my people, you know, that kind of stuff. They didn't actually use the word Time Lord yet, which I was kind of disappointed that they did do that. But, you know, it's a prequel series to a series 50 years ago, so, you know, that's more my fault, hoping for stuff that obviously wasn't going to happen, rather than the story itself. So I won't put out against it, but I was kind of, it did bum me out a bit. But that's not really, that's more of a nitpick. Now, the way she defeats the Ravenous, she kind of traps it in like a sort of box, and then she tells Susan that she needs something. She takes it somewhere else. It gets free, and then Susan gets what she needs, and she just throws it, and then boom. I thought it was a very anticlimactic ending. It just goes like, oh my god, they built up this really dangerous monster, and then oh no, it was actually nothing. Nothing threatening anyway. Nothing that River can't handle. Now, everybody then says goodbye, and there's some sweet moments between River and Ian. And there was this great bit where Ian is like, she's a remarkable woman, and then Barbara's like, she's not the only one, and then there's this like kind of awkward laughter. I thought that was pretty sweet, knowing what they will become. Then Susan has a chat with River as well, and you can see that River knows a lot. She knows about the TARDIS. I like how they made a reference that Susan came up with the name, and River's like, it was good to be caught on. So I wonder if, from River's point of view, it was the Doctor's granddaughter that actually came up with the name TARDIS. I thought that one might be pretty interesting. You know, so at least one person still believes that Susan was the creator of the name. I think that'd be pretty funny if, like, later on down the series, she finds out and she's like, "What? Oh man! Oh well." And then she gets a scene with the Doctor. Now the Doctor, she kind of comes back to more like a flirty River, and she's like, "Ooh, I'm tempted to try and kiss you now." And the Doctor's reaction to this is priceless. He's like, "My God, woman, you're supposed to be a respectable police officer." And that I was like, I was on the floor laughing. And there you go, An Unearthly Woman. I'm sorry this one was a bit more rambly. This is the first time I've actually listened to this story. I hope that you've enjoyed. Overall, Matt Fitton has done a pretty okay job. It could have been better. It could have been worse. I felt like I wish it had more consequences, because, you know, this is a prequel story to the first ever story of the show, and there you go. So join me next time, where we will get into the first story, The Unearthly Child. See you all next time.